Hey guys, hopefully everyone is doing well. Today's target is to solve question number 5.14. Chapter is cost profit volume analysis, CVP or CPV. We have already solved 13 questions, so you have very better idea what are inputs of this question, what is format of this question, and how do we solve it. Before that, we are quickly repeating our key concepts. First of which was total cost, and total cost we do calculate by adding fixed cost and variable cost. If you need to calculate total cost in other way, what do you do is to multiply your units with per unit. This is how you calculate total cost, and if you need to calculate your per unit cost, what do you do is to take your amount and you divide it with number of units. Then you have an idea of contribution margin. How do you calculate? Taking sales and then subtract variable cost. Then you need to know how to calculate your contribution margin per unit by taking the same formula which is written over here, sale minus variable cost, except you will use an additional word of per unit with both. So per unit sale price minus per unit variable cost, you will get per unit margin. And there is another important concept, that is contribution margin ratio. And how do you calculate? You will take contribution margin and you are going to divide it with sales. So here you will get your contribution margin ratio. All right. Then you need to know your break even point. Hopefully you people have an idea how important these concepts are. Whenever we start question, we usually repeat it. You can know the importance of these key points. Break even point in terms of units. How do you calculate it? You take fixed cost and then you divide it by CM per unit or contribution margin per unit. This way you will calculate your break even point in terms of units. CM per unit is written over here, contribution margin per unit, as we have seen, per unit sale minus per unit variable cost. Then you should have in your mind your break even point, but in terms of your dollar or amount, dollar or amount. If you need to calculate your break even sales or break even in terms of amount, you take fixed cost and then you divide it by CM ratio, and CM ratio is calculated over here by dividing contribution margin to its sales. Okay, come over here. Every concept written over here is directly or indirectly associated with every question. That is why we usually write it before starting our question. Okay, here name has been mentioned and there are two products, A100 and B900 monthly sales. Contribution margin ratios are given over here. Prepare a contribution margin format income statement for the company as a whole. As a whole means there are two products, model A100 and model B900. Total income statement is required, but here something is missing. Total contribution margin ratio is not present over here. So that's the task we will complete. And why I have written this total cost over here, why I have written total cost over here, per unit cost over here, then contribution margin. Now you will come to know that each concept is similarly important. Here we have contribution margin ratio for product A. So you can start with it. Now let me know what is contribution margin ratio. As in our question, the first element given is ratio. What do you do is take your contribution margin and divide it with sales. Okay, ratio is given 60%. 60% means 60 divided by 100, and you can write it 0.6. Follow this formula, then we have is equal to, and then we have contribution margin, which is not present over here, so you can write CM to save the time, and then you need to divide it with what? Sales. Sales are mentioned over here, 7 lakh, so you can write 7 lakh over here. Okay, next step is what? 7 lakh is divided on right side of is equal to. You want to take it to the left side of is equal to. Sign would be changed. Here it is divided. When you take it to the left side, it would be multiplied. 0.6 is already present over here, and 7 lakh when you will bring to the left side of is equal to, it would be multiplied. And what will left on right side of is equal to? Only CM, contribution margin. So now you can calculate on your calculator. 0.6 is going to be multiplied by 7 lakh. Alright. So you have first contribution margin which you have calculated. I think we should mention it. It is CM1, or instead of 1 we can write CMA, because our product is model A 100, we should mention. Okay, contribution margin for A100 is 4,22,000. In the similar way, you will calculate your contribution margin for product B as well, so that we can have contribution margin for both. So contribution margin ratio is equal to contribution divided by sales. Same we are using. Now for product B, 70% is ratio, and in place of ratio you will write 70%, 70 divided by 100, 0.7, and then you will put is equal to, follow the formula. You need to have contribution margin, which is not given in the question, so you will write CM, and it would be divided by sales, and here sale is 3 lakh. Okay, put 3 lakh over here. Now simple calculations are starting. 3 lakh is divided over here on right side of is equal to. You want to take it to the left side of is equal to. For this, signs would be changed. Here it is divided. It would be multiplied on the opposite side. So 0.7 is already present over here. It would be now multiplied by 3 lakh, because 3 lakh was divided on right side of is equal to. And we are bringing 3 lakh to the left side. What left to the right side is CM. Okay, next we can put this statement on our calculator. 0.7 is going to be multiplied by 3 lakh. Okay, so we have second contribution margin calculated, and somebody should comment why we have calculated these two statements. Okay, as a whole break even, as a whole contribution margin income statement is needed. So here we have calculated contribution margin of first, contribution margin of second. We can now construct our format income statement. First we do write sales, and then we subtract variable costs. We get contribution margin, and then you subtract again fixed costs and getting net margin. So this is our contribution format income statement which we have completed, but we have two products. So what you will do, A name we are checking, A100 was the first product, so you will make its calculation over here, and then you have second product which was B900. Okay, and here you will calculate your total. And for total, why we are calculating total? Because here our requirement is prepare income statement for company as a whole. As a whole mean all products should be included. So what actually we are going to do, we will be putting sale of A100, and then we will be putting sale of B900, and then finally what we will do, we will add sale of both A100 and B900, will write over here. In this way we can complete our income statement. That is why we have written separately. All right, so now sales for A product is 7 lakh. You can put 7 lakh over here, and then we have sale of second product is 3 lakh, put over here. Total sale is 1 million, already mentioned above. Now we need to have variable cost, which is not present in the question. Surprisingly, you can see that fixed expenses are present, and question you can see is here. You can read it from first line to end line. Variable cost is not present. So that was a surprise for you. But what we have done, we have calculated contribution margins for both. You can see here contribution margin for B900 is also calculated 2,10,000, and we have calculated our contribution margin for A100 product, which is 4,20,000. So what you can do here, variable cost is unknown. Again, variable cost for B product is unknown. Obviously, then total variable cost will also be unknown. But we do have contribution margin of two products, which we are open to put at their relevant places. Contribution margin for A100, which is calculated over here, 4,20,000 would be put over here. Then we have calculated contribution margin for B product, which is 2,10,000. So you can put 2,10,000 over here. So now we can calculate total contribution margin as well. How? We have first 4,20,000, second product 2,10,000. So our variable, so our contribution margin is completed. Fixed cost is already present. Here fixed expenses, and he is mentioning these are total fixed expenses 598,500. So you will directly come to the total side 598,500, and you can calculate your net margin. How much net margin is? 6,30,000 is your contribution margin. You will subtract your fixed cost. Once again, you'll have to write 630,000 is your contribution margin, and you need to subtract your fixed cost. So here we have got our contribution margin. But again, what is over here? Your question mark, your income statement is still incomplete. Though you have calculated your answer, and answer is mentioned over here 31,500, but our income statement is incomplete. We haven't mentioned the variable cost. So someone of you should have the answer. How do we calculate variable cost? It is easy. When you have your answer and you want to calculate your inputs, you will go reverse. So here reverse calculation will be done. We are going from downward to upward. Downward to upward. For that you will change the signs. Variable cost usually be subtracted, but when we are going reverse, we will change the sign, and instead of variable cost uh, is to be subtracted over here, we should have been adding it. But I have told you, whenever there is question mark in between these two items, in between, you will always be calculating the difference. So how would you calculate your difference? 7 lakh the first amount, and then 4,20,000 second amount. So here your variable cost is arrived over here. It's easy to uh, clarify it. It's easy to test it. When you will subtract 280 from 7 lakh, it should be equal to 4,20,000. We can do it over here. 7 lakh subtract 2,80,000. So your answer is 420,000. It means we have proved it that calculations are correct. And similarly, you will be doing over here, calculating the difference of 3 lakh and 2,10,000. So we have 90,000, and total variable cost can be added, calculated in two ways. You can subtract 6,30,000 out of 1 million, or you can add these both, 2 lakh 80,000 and 90,000. In both ways you will get the same amount, 2 lakh 80,000 plus 90,000, so you have got 3 lakh 70,000. You can do this way also, 1 million minus 6 lakh 30,000, again you are getting the same amount. So hopefully you people have understood. So this was our first requirement, prepare contribution margin format income statement. Answer was 31,500. We have calculated that answer. It means first portion is completed, but you can keep your queries and write down and you can ask. Okay. Second requirement is break-even point based on current sales. Sale is very important. So you have two formulas: break-even point in terms of units, in terms of amount. Since sales is written, so you need to calculate break-even point in terms of sales. How do you calculate break-even point in terms of dollar or amount? For that you need to have fixed cost and you will divide it with CM ratio. And as usual, you know, CM ratio would be calculated by dividing your contribution margin by sales. So you are dividing contribution margin by sales. Here you can see your contribution margin is 6 lakh 30,000. So you can put over here 6 lakh 30,000 and it would be divided by sales was 1 million. So put 1 million over here. Now you are open to put on calculator 6 lakh 30,000 divided by 1 million. Okay, so you have got your answer. It is contribution margin ratio in terms of times. We are not calculating in terms of percentage. So 0.63. So here fixed cost is needed, which is mentioned over here, 598,500. Fixed cost is going to be divided by CM ratio. CM ratio we have calculated over here, 0.63. Now calculate your answer, 598,500, and it is going to be divided by 0.63. Alright, so 9,50,000 is break even point you have calculated, and second part you have solved. Break even point based on sale, 9,50,000 answer is mentioned over here, and your answer is also 9,50,000. So break even point is calculated. It's time to see what is third requirement. If sale increases by 50,000, how much would you expect your net operating income? For that we are going to construct our income statement again. So I will take little help from previous statement. What I will do, I will pick this statement as it's easy to do this job on Excel. We have copied it, though we shouldn't. And we are also taking old income statement as well. So we are picking it as a reference. So you can write it over here. Okay, since we are copying it, so it would be something missing. So let's go and see. Variable cost is 3,70,000. Write down 3,70,000 over here, and then contribution margin was 6,30,000. 6,30,000. Okay, this was your income statement which was old, and he is asking to make a new income statement. How? If your increased by sale is increased by how much? $50,000. Okay. Old sale was 1 million and new is by increasing 50,000. So you were having 1 million, add $50,000. So you will get your new sales. 1,050,000 or 10 lakh 50,000 is your new sales. So let me know, if sale was 1 million, variable cost was 370. You have increased your sale from 1 million to 10 lakh 50,000. Variable cost would be changed or not? Hopefully someone of you would have the correct answer that variable cost is meant to be changed. It is variable. If you will increase your sale, variable cost will be increased. If you will decrease your sale, variable cost would be decreased. If you will change your level of production, variable cost would be changed. If you will decrease your level of production, variable cost would be decreased. So keep it in mind, variable cost would always be changing if you will change your level of sale. And perhaps you remember that we have created a Desi formula for calculation of new variable cost. How do you calculate new variable cost? For that purpose, you need to have old variable cost and you will divide it with old sales, and then you need to multiply it with new sales. So this is the formula for calculation of new variable cost. Okay, now you need to have old variable cost first, which has already been mentioned. This was your variable cost and we have named it as old, 3,70,000. So put 3,70,000 first, follow the formula, 3,70,000. Then you need to divide it with what? Old sales. This is old sales 1 million. Write down 1 million, and then you need to put the bracket on both sides. Okay, and finally you will be multiplying it with new sales. New sales we have already calculated, 1,050,000 or 10 lakh 50,000 is written over here. It's time to put it on your calculator. Start with bracket. 3,70,000 was 3,70,000 was the variable cost. Okay, and it was going to be divided by 1 million and multiply it with 10 lakh 50,000. So here we have our new variable cost. Please follow the formula. I was saying that this is a Desi formula and formula would not be present in any book. This was just for your convenience. You can calculate your new variable cost with the help of this formula. So now new variable cost has arrived, which is, I'm highlighting it, 3,88,500. Put over here. Alright. So now contribution margin can be calculated. How? By subtracting variable cost from sales. Your sale is 10,50,000, subtract your variable cost, which is 3,88,500. So now contribution margin is calculated. What would be the difference now for fixed cost? You have seen when sale was 1 million or 10 lakh, variable cost was 370. As you have increased your sale, your variable cost has increased from 370 to 388. So how you will calculate your fixed cost when you will increase your level of sale? At 10 lakh of sales, your fixed cost was 598 and now your sale is 10 lakh 50,000. So how this fixed cost would be calculated? Someone of you would have a good answer that fixed cost means fixed. It would always be fixed whether your level of production is increasing or decreasing. So in other meaning, this fixed cost would be written in a similar way. All right. And now you will see how to calculate your net margin by subtracting fixed cost from contribution margin. Contribution margin, new contribution margin is 6,61,500, and you will subtract your fixed cost, which is 5,98500. So here you have calculated your new contribution margin and net margin, and you can see third part, by increasing your sale $50,000, your contribution margin from 31 it had gone to 63,000, and we have calculated 63,000 as well. So this way our third requirement is completed, and the third was the last requirement as well. Okay, so it means question number 5.14 is completed. Please look at it. We have solved three parts. This was your first part, where you have calculated your net margin. I should have mentioned first part was here. Then you have calculated your second part, and you can see that first part answer was 31,500, and here first part 31,500, second part 9,50,000. What we are doing, we are reviewing the question. Even after putting full attention to your question, reviewing is still very important for you, but sometimes it happens that some of the parts can be missed, multiplication or division or some signs can be missed. So reviewing is very important. Second part 9,50,000, and you can see second part 9,50,000 was the answer we have seen. Then we have calculated our third part, that was here. CM ratio was calculated. Net margin was calculated as 63,000, and you have checked its answer as well, 63,000. So all three parts completed. Every element regarding 5.14 is completed. Hopefully you people have understood, but if still there is any query, there is any question of understanding, you are very open to text message or directly mail to ask your question. I will surely try to answer them instantly. For the time being, our lecture time is ended. Hopefully we will be meeting soon again for the solution of any other question. Up till then, please take care of yourself, and I'm requesting you to pray for me as well. It's time to say goodbye. Thank you very much. Allah Hafiz.